Good afternoon, all. Welcome to a very sunny Buckinghamshire, which has kind of caught us all out a little bit. So I hope I'm not looking too red. Could have done with the baseball cap today because we've just basically sat in bright sunshine for 2 or 3 hours. But the sun is shining, and metaphorically on Norwich City as well. 7-point lead at the top of the championship is re-established with a 2-0 win here at Wycombe this Sunday lunchtime, which is particularly big, of course, ahead of Wednesday night's game against Brentford, who are in second place. But probably more important is re-establishing a 10-point lead to Watford in third, which with 13 games to go, Norwich hitting 70 points today, 10 points short of that first target that Daniel Farke has set. That means that they are still in a fantastic position. A fifth win on the spin. This was a dangerous little patch of the season, wasn't it? 4 games in succession against teams in the, well, they were bottom 5 before it all started, and they've got through it well. They've won all 4. In fact, if you include the Stoke game, which is 5 wins, which is where this 5-game winning streak started, it is 1-5, scored 12, conceded 2. So that's not half bad, is it? And a heck of a way to set yourself up for a big clash against title rivals, hopefully, Brentford on Wednesday night. And it's fair to say that each of those games was as awkward as you'd expect, really. Of course, it would be nice, and on paper probably makes more sense, that the leaders should smash one of those teams. Funnily enough, it's Stoke that they beat most comprehensively, wasn't it? They beat them 4-1, who are chasing the playoffs. But Wycombe, again, similarly to Rotherham, really battled hard and really made things difficult. I think the stat which really stood out for me with this one, I mean, Norwich had 72% of possession, no great surprise there. This is Wycombe's first ever season in the second tier of English football. 19 shots, 5 on target, but 8 shots for Wycombe and 1 on target. But in terms of aerial duels, 1, Wycombe 12, Norwich 32. So Grant Hanley, I'll say early in the video, is my man of the match today. I thought he got through so much good work. We know how important he has been. Reunited with Ben Gibson at the heart of central defence today. And that was one of the 2 changes Daniel Farke made for this one. The other being Ona Hernandez coming in for Todd Cantwell, who's just got a minor calf injury. So race against time to see if he can get back for the Brentford game on Wednesday. So Hernandez starts on the left wing. But yeah, Hanley, as he has been throughout this season, just so commanding. I mean, it felt like in the first 10, 15 minutes, he'd already won about 10 headers. They've got the big lad up front, Uche Piezu. You may remember is the guy who injured Tim Closer in pre-season. I think that was Farke's first pre-season in 2017, wasn't it, at Cambridge? Went up to Scotland to play for Hearts, and he's a real lump, and he was certainly awkward, but Hanley is just in such a good vein of form that him and Gibson largely dealt with that. But the amount of headers, I haven't checked how many Hanley won specifically, but he got through a lot. And yeah, I'd give him an 8 out of 10 for today. In terms of the other ratings alongside him, which may be a little bit surprising, given that we're talking about the team who are bottom of the table, but this was not an easy game. I'll also give McLean, Aarons, Buendia and Pukki all an 8, because they worked hard for this one. They showed that bit of attacking class to make it count, but they also worked and they earned those 3 points again, which they did against Coventry, they did against Birmingham, they did against Rotherham. All 4 very awkward games against teams scrapping for their lives. As Daniel had teed it up ahead of this little run, in some ways you'd rather play a mid-table team who haven't got much to play for at the moment. And Wycombe did kind of personify that. They scrapped for everything. They just kept pumping the ball. They really did work hard. But unfortunately for them, they're 11 points adrift. 11 points of safety. So they are unlikely to be able to keep their status from here. But it should be stressed that they beat Reading in midweek. They'd won 2 and drawn 1 of their last 4 games. But they couldn't deal with Norwich's quality, really. And it came down to half-time. Daniel really put a rocket up his side, I would imagine, at half-time. And they came out much, much better at the start of the second half. A little bit disjointed in the first half, but not too bad. Probably better than they played at Birmingham on Tuesday night. But certainly that first 10, 15 minutes of the second half, they put their foot on the pedal and it felt like they had control of the game, and you struggled to see them losing it from there. It wasn't until the 87th minute that Adam Eder actually made it safe. But I'll come back around to that in just a minute. To complete my ratings, Krul, another clean sheet, 13th for the season. That's as many as the Farke team of 2018-19, the title winners, as many as they got in the entirety of the 46 games of that season. And today we're in the 33rd, so that's pretty impressive, isn't it? So a 7 for Krul, for Gibson, for Skip, and for Vrancic. And I'll go 6s for Yanunis and Hernandez. A frustrating one for Hernandez today. Big opportunity for him, his first league start since October, but he did have opportunities to make this a better day, and he couldn't take them really. I guess that's down to a bit of rust, but he has had quite a few opportunities to build up to this one. He impressed off the bench at Birmingham, made a difference actually on Tuesday night. Fitness shouldn't really be an issue at this point, but I think he'll feel this was an opportunity missed today. Because he did have chances to really lay down a marker and push for that starting place, with Cantwell being a doubt. Although he did have a dead leg ahead of this game, Hernandez, so whether that played any part in him maybe being a bit under par, I'm not 100% sure. But overall, 7 points clear at the top of the table thanks to this one. But it's once again a familiar story. Teemu Pukki, Emi Buendia. I tweeted a really nice photo from our photographer Paul Chesterton of Pukki looking lovingly at Buendia once again after another assist, a 10th of the season for Buendia. A fairly scrappy close range finish, typical sort of poacher's finish from Pukki. He reacted quickly, got that little half a yard of space, and then a sort of low snap shot which deflected past David Stockdale from close range, who didn't really have much opportunity, but Pukki had reacted to the opportunity basically, and Buendia had got to the line, just simple square pass really. So 18th of the season for Teemu, now getting close to the big 2-0, which would be very impressive considering he got 29 2 seasons ago. Got 11 in the Premier League last year, to be fair. So as much has been said recently, that man is already a walking legend for Norwich City, isn't he? But yes, that didn't come until the 51st minute. You may remember the home game against Wycombe. Again, Wycombe pushed them really hard, made them really work for the 3 points that night, but that was only won by a Mario Vrancic free kick in the in injury time, I think it was, at Carrow Road. He very nearly pulled it off again. 12th minute, almost identical position, just a little bit to the right of the D, and central free kick, curls it over the wall, but Stockdale had obviously done his homework, remembered that one, although he wasn't in goal that night in Norfolk a few months ago, and really good save. That obviously would have changed the complexion of the game totally in the 12th minute. There was an interesting element to this as well, in that Wycombe have got a former Norwich Academy player in their ranks. Anis Mehmeti's 20-year-old midfielder, Albania youth international. They released him in 2019. He'd been a regular at the under-18s. He played with Adam Eder and Max Aarons, actually. And he looked really fired up for this one. Of course, would have been desperate for a goal against the club that played against him. And he had opportunities that had released him, and he had opportunities. So 33rd minute, that Manic Piazza as well flicks on a header. Mehmeti's got a sight of goal, smashes a left-footed shot, but it's just wide of the left post. Krul would have been struggling to stop that one because that really had some power on it. A couple of minutes later, he managed to get round Ollie Skipping into the box, and Wycombe were really appealing for a penalty. But I think there was a little bit of contact, but he just went down so easily, the referee kind of dismissed it, really. He looked like he was looking for the foul as much as anything as soon as he crossed the line. But there were then a couple of sort of half fouls, debatable fouls, shall we say, that Wycombe didn't get. And Gareth Ainsworth was literally hopping mad on the sidelines and got a telling off from the referee. He was really not happy they didn't get those free kicks. And I guess they were starting to get a little bit of a sinking feeling there because they'd missed a couple of chances. Kenny McLean fired wide before the half-time whistle, and also Emi Buendia headed against the bar. Not the man you expect to be popping up with a header, but Ben Gibson put a cross in from the left, and Buendia rose and beat the keeper, looped onto the crossbar, but then Pukki, difficult volley and lashed it well wide. But as I say, after the break, that's when things really stepped up for Norwich. They had quite a few chances in a short space of time. Ono Hernandez, as I say, Max Aarons did really well, chipped a little cross in. Hernandez, almost identical chance had just happened before, and Hernandez had got it the second time he read it, got to the header, but we know Onel's not really known for his aerial ability, isn't he? Got the header completely wrong and just spooned it completely wide, really. It was a unfortunate miss. But yes, then the goal comes in the 51st minute, as I said, Buendia squaring to Pukki to make it 1-0. Hernandez was so close to getting an assist in the 55th minute. He did really well, to be fair. McLean, nice pass out to the left. Hernandez cuts in onto his right like he's going to shoot, but then sees Buendia as the man in space and free, squares to him, and Buendia just puts way too much through it, too much power, fires that one over the bar. And then something that I've never seen before outside of pre-season, a quintuple substitution from Wycombe. Ainsworth reacted. You could see the way the game was going. 5 substitutes on. Surprisingly, one of them wasn't Adebayo Akinfenwa, who was fit and back on the bench today. And they were better after that. The fresh legs worked. They did have a bit of attacking impetus, but still, in terms of clear-cut chances, Norwich did enough to thwart them. But they did have to really work hard. Krul and Hanley and Gibson all in some fairly chaotic situations at points. The biggest one was probably 68th minute. Corner comes in from Joe Jacobson. Krul punches it away, and Kashket manages to get a strike on goal, but it's rising and wide of the far post. So that was probably the big one. Daniel Farke left his subs quite late. Lucas Rapp and Adam Eder came on the 85th minute for Hernandez and Vramcic, and within 2 minutes, Rapp and Eder combined to get the goal to make this one safe. It was a lovely little pass from Lucas Rapp, actually, who, of course, got the assist for Ollie Skip's goal, the late goal at Birmingham on Tuesday. He played Eder clean through with a lovely pass. Eder's shot was then deflected behind for a corner. Buendia puts it in from the left, from that corner that you can just see behind me there, and puts it in low. McLean nudges it on. The ball basically pinballs in the area, just on the edge of the 6-yard box, and Adam Eder reacts quickest to stab it home and make sure of the 2-0 win. And that meant a lot to him. You could tell he hasn't scored since September, since the opening day, since that late winner at Huddersfield. Of course, he's been through the middle a little bit. A red card against Wycombe at Carrow Road, you'll probably remember, in injury time for a petulant reaction, which was then followed by injuries while he was away with Ireland, wasn't it? A foot and knee injury, which kept him out for the best part of a couple of months. So he's been easing his way back, but he finally gets a second goal of the season today. And it could end up being a really memorable goal, because Wycombe were desperately pumping the ball forward and really putting Norwich under a lot of pressure. But once that goal had gone in, we all knew that the leaders had the win in the bag, another win in the bag, and on to a big game. And it feels massive to have won, to go into that Brentford game in this position, in weirdly a position of not too much pressure on Norwich. If things were to go wrong on Wednesday night, at worst, it means Brentford are 4 points behind them with 12 games still to go. And when you look at the fixtures as well, Norwich played quite a few mid-table opposition, or certainly bottom half opposition as well. So the fixture list is not too bad. And then the end of the season looks a bit worrying. You got Bournemouth and Watford at home. You got Barnsley away on the last day of the season as well. So they have the opportunity now to get this done early. If they get another 7 wins from the final 13, they will be up almost certainly. That will take them above 90 points. And the way they're playing at the moment, it's difficult to see them not doing that, isn't it? Their playoff place is almost secure already, and Daniel Farke wants 80 points to make absolutely sure of that, but we know that 80 points is probably more than they need. It's just a bit of a dream position, really, isn't it? The only thing, of course, is that stand behind me is the away end normally. That's where the away supporters should be, of course, still behind closed doors. And as we heard earlier this week, it's looking unlikely that fans will be back in any EFL games before the start of the season. Not impossible, as we heard from Norwich City during the week as well. They, of course, if there's any opportunity for pilot/test games, they will have fans back if they can. If they can get 2,000 back into Carrow Road games, they will do it. They'll do everything they can. They'll move heaven and earth to do it. But whether they will be able to do that is another thing completely. So we shall see. But we'll just have to hope that we can get some kind of celebrations in if that's where the season ends up going. That'll do for now. Thank you very much. Looks like I can now actually see myself on the screen. I don't look too sunburned, so at least I've got away with that one. But thanks for watching. Let us know what you thought of the game in the comments below, and we will catch up with you ahead of that game against Brentford on Wednesday, which, don't forget, is a 5:30 kickoff.